Saying goodbye for the last time is always hard, the pain of physical separation. But there's so much more that happens before and after that. I'm Amelia, 45 years old, living single on my own. Why am I single at this age? Well, it's just that I haven't found the right one, not that I never wanted to marry. I have a brother, Liam, 49 years old. Liam is married with 2 young boys in elementary school. Mom's been diagnosed with dementia. That phone call from Dad changed our lives completely. Dad, I realized it too late, he said with a hint of regret. There were signs like Mom's forgetfulness, but I thought it was just part of getting older. By the time she was diagnosed, it had progressed from the early to middle stages. She probably has about 3 years left, the doctor estimates, Dad said. I'll take care of her myself. But Dad doing everything on his own is impossible, I thought. Dad mentioned she's gradually losing control over her bodily functions. Hearing this, I suggested, maybe we should consider a nursing home. However, Dad had said, if it were me, I'd want to stay at home until the end. And he remained firm in his decision. Then at least let's consider daycare, Liam and I decided. We discussed sharing the costs and went to Dad's house that day. My sister-in-law came too. If my father-in-law says he can handle it, maybe that's okay, sister-in-law said. If Dad gets overwhelmed with caregiving, it'll be a problem for me. But I insisted. Dad and Mom raised me without any hardships, and Liam felt the same way. I don't want Dad to overdo it, and I want Mom to have a good end, he said. Amidst all this, Mom said, I need to go to the bathroom. Dad tried to help her, but she couldn't make it in time and had an accident in the hallway. Liam and I helped clean the floor and assisted her with changing her pajamas. Doing this every day would be too much for Dad. It's too hard for Dad to do this alone. Let's at least get daycare. Liam and I will cover the costs, I suggested. Then my sister-in-law objected. Why do we have to pay? I don't know what kind of parents they were to you, but to me, they're strangers. Why should I pay for someone else? I couldn't believe she would say this in front of her husband's family. Sister-in-law looked outraged. Helping each other as a family is natural. Liam and I grew up receiving love and care without expecting anything in return. If we don't pay that kindness now, when will we? And no one is asking for you to provide care, so why do I have to hear such words from you? Sister-in-law's expression turned to anger. Caregiving? That's impossible. This is the first time I've seen an elderly person lose control like this. I can't imagine taking care of someone so messy and smelly. Why should I do such a dirty, unpaid job? And about the care facility costs, if father-in-law is in trouble, he should pay. Why should the children have to? I won't pay a dime. That's it, I'm leaving, she said. With that, she stormed out. Liam went after her. Sorry, this is all I have for now, he said, and handed me $100 at the front door. Feeling down, I returned inside where Dad said to me, Amelia, you see, Mom is turning from a woman back into a little girl. Soon she'll be a baby again, returning to a time when she couldn't speak. His words resonated with me deeply. I met Mom as an adult, so getting to know her as she reverts to stages I never knew makes me happy. I don't see it as caregiving, but as precious time to experience all phases of Mom's life. That's why I want to be with her every second. He tenderly stroked Mom's hair. That Dad would think this way moved me deeply, much deeper than anything I could compare to. I couldn't help but cry. Still, I knew caregiving couldn't be done alone. I moved back to my parents' house to help with caregiving while continuing my job. Caregiving was far from easy. There were nights I was woken up and times she hurled shocking insults. I realized that entrusting care to professionals was a valid option. It was that challenging. But Dad was aging too, and I wanted to fulfill his wish. One day, while we were taking turns with the care, Dad said, You deserve a break. It's your company summer vacation, right? I'm truly grateful for all you do. Why don't you go out and enjoy yourself for a day? I'll take care of Mom that day. Grateful for Dad's kindness, I decided to visit a cafe with a friend I'd reconnected with in the neighborhood. It had been a while since we'd last met, as I couldn't see them often while away from home. Having some time for myself felt great, and it was fun to chat with my friend. How have you been lately? She naturally started the conversation. I've been dealing with Mom's caregiving. It's tough, but there's a sense of duty given all she's done for me, I replied. Huh. To my surprise, my friend asked, Isn't Liam's wife taking care of your mom? What? What are you talking about? I asked in return. Recalling the day my sister-in-law refused daycare with such vehemence, it didn't leave me with a good feeling. You know, Liam's kids are in the same grades as my older and younger ones. Last year, I was an officer in the PTA. Liam's house is in this neighborhood. It's a small world indeed, I continued, listening to her story. You know how every year there's a bit of a tussle over who becomes a PTA officer, and we always do a survey asking for reasons why someone can't do it. Liam's wife wrote caregiving as her reason. But, you know, nobody really wants to take on the role, so we still call to request. When I called her, she said, My husband's busy with work, and both my father-in-law and sister-in-law have left the care of my mother-in-law to me. They've just left her alone. So I've had no choice but to take on all the nursing responsibilities. It's simply too much, she said, something like that. I was so angry my hand shook as I held my cup. I can't believe her. She hasn't done any caregiving, not even once. It's been me and Dad all along, I said. Yeah, I figured. She's always been pretty selfish and erratic before using caregiving as an excuse. She'd write on the PTA surveys for her younger kid, I'll volunteer for my older kid, and for her older kid, I'll volunteer for my younger kid. Even if what Amelia and her sister-in-law say are different, I believe you, Amelia. Don't worry. That was fine for my friend, but not for me. Knowing my sister-in-law's calculating nature made me dislike her even more. And so, the time came for caregiving to end. It was inevitable. We had seen the funeral and wake coming, so Dad and I had already arranged everything. Liam came to the wake. I'm sorry. Thanks for moving back home and taking care of everything, he said. Yeah, it's okay, Liam. I know you're always tied up with overtime and work on weekends, I replied. Then my sister-in-law arrived. She's gone, huh? Yes, no more need for caregiving. Congratulations. Did she just say congratulations? My mind went blank. Well, of course, caregiving is over. You're free now. Just one more person to care for, and then there's the inheritance split 3 ways between you, me, and my husband. Congratulations on getting closer to a big payday. She said it so casually, like it was just small talk. This woman lacks so much common sense. She doesn't understand the appropriate time and place, and her words are just as bad. At the funeral, something even more unforgivable happened. During the final farewell, Dad kissed Mom's forehead, and while tears fell onto it, he whispered, I'll be joining you soon. Then, unbelievably, sister-in-law tapped Dad on the shoulder and said, Yes, that will be soon. I almost lunged at her, but Liam just managed to hold me back. I'm so sorry, really sorry, Liam said, pulling me into another room, apologizing over and over. Just let it go now. This is my way of thanking you for all you've done, Liam said, offering a bag of money. It wasn't enough to calm my anger. I swore I'd make that woman pay. A month later, the opportunity came. I'm truly sorry for dragging you into my selfishness, Amelia. You've suffered through caregiving, but it gave us 3 memorable years with Mom. Thank you. As a small recompense, I'm leaving most of the land and property to you. I don't intend to be a burden, so if it comes to it, I'll go to a facility, Dad said to me. Dad had already informed Liam about this over the phone. I understand Amelia went through a lot because of me, Liam also said. The inheritance wasn't from Mom, who had just passed away. She didn't have any property in her name. All the land was under Dad's name, who was still in good health. Dad planned to leave most of it to me when he passed away. Before storing his handwritten will at the Legal Affairs Bureau, he wanted Liam and me to review its contents. After having lunch together, let's spend the afternoon reminiscing about Mom, just the 3 of us, I suggested. But that afternoon, sister-in-law showed up. What's this about an inheritance discussion? I heard from my husband. This is ridiculous. The eldest son, my husband, should naturally inherit the house and land. We're taking the inheritance, she declared. Why are you trying to change what's traditionally done? She demanded aggressively. She didn't understand any traditions. Ah, I knew you'd show up, always so greedy and self-centered, I said with a half smile and a sigh. The one who doesn't understand is you, sister-in-law. The inheritance has nothing to do with you. Liam agrees, and it's a matter only for the three of us here. I have rights too. You didn't even invite me, and now you're just telling me the outcome. Is this some kind of harassment against me, the daughter-in-law? Greedy and self-centered, that's you, she yelled. Sister-in-law, you're not a legal heir or anything. You're not Dad's young daughter, I pointed out. Sister-in-law. I'd lacking common sense was convinced she had rights. She had this bizarre idea of splitting the inheritance 3 ways. I had to set her straight. Do you remember what you said to us? I don't know what kind of parents they were to you, but to me, they're strangers. Why should I pay for someone else? You said that yourself. Strangers don't inherit anything. Sister-in-law was visibly frustrated, still not accepting the situation. Liam continued, It's only right that Amelia gets more. I'm truly grateful for her supporting Dad and ensuring Mom had a peaceful end. That's why I agreed to Dad's decision. What? Why would you agree? Are you trying to be too good? That's one thing. This is another, sister-in-law retorted. It was tough doing all the caregiving, and it turns out, sister-in-law, you've been claiming to do it all by yourself. Sister-in-law looked shocked. I heard it from a friend. You used it as an excuse to skip PTA duties for 3 years, so I told that friend the truth. You never did any caregiving, so you could have taken that role. I even suggested they nominate you next time. Still going to insist you did the caregiving? You can't produce any health monitoring records, can you? I wrote them daily for the hospital submissions. I told my friend in charge of the PTA to ask for those records if you try to dodge the responsibility again. Pretending to care for someone to skip duties and then expecting the same inheritance as the actual caregiver is just outrageous. But still, it's not right, sister-in-law stubbornly insisted. If it's about the inheritance, we have children. They should have a right to inherit too. Since Amelia is single and childless, we should get more, right? Single and childless? Her words could easily be misconstrued by anyone listening. That's when it happened. Suddenly, Liam slammed his hand on the table. Enough! What about the children? He shouted at sister-in-law. I had never seen Liam so angry. I was taken aback, but his sister-in-law was even more stunned. Liam continued firmly. Are you still talking about inheritance rights? Thinking about who the money and the inheritance belong to before bringing up children who have no rights in this? Besides, you haven't let Mom and Dad see the kids since they started kindergarten. Indeed, I hadn't seen Liam's children since moving back home, except at the funeral. I thought they were just being considerate because of Mom's situation. You told me before the kids don't want to go to Grandpa's house because it smells like traditional Chinese medicine and it makes them cry. And when I brought them to the funeral and asked them, we never said that, both said. It does smell, sister-in-law lifted her head, screamed. I couldn't help it. That sounds more like your opinion, not the children's. I interjected. You always act like it's fine as long as you're okay, dragging others into your schemes, stealing their kindness, and sacrificing them for your own benefit. Enough is enough, even with this inheritance. My sister who did so much caregiving, Dad, used every single dollar, go on one more trip to the places you loved with Mom. Make it a pilgrimage of memories. Spend every last dollar, Dad. Take a trip to the places you loved with Mom. Make it a pilgrimage of cherished memories. With that, Liam slammed the divorce papers on the table. At the daycare discussion, the funeral, and now, I can't imagine growing old with you. I don't see us having a relationship like Dad and Mom had. It's over, sister-in-law responded. This is too sudden. It's too much. Her voice trembled. Meanwhile, I, having never been married, was just stunned to see an actual divorce document for the first time. If you resist, I'll get a lawyer involved. I have records of all the terrible things you've done, Liam asserted. Sister-in-law started to sob, the sound echoing in the living room. I gently embraced Dad's shoulder, which was shaking. Dad's shoulders were trembling. Grandpa took us to the Dodger Stadium. The children came back with megaphones and towels. The stadium was so big, the ball was really fast. Their voices were full of excitement. After the divorce, Liam moved in with his 2 children. He'd been contributing financially to the household when they first arrived. "Does it smell, Dad?" Out of concern, Dad asked his grandchildren. "Yeah, not at all. Mom's perfume smells stronger," they replied cheerfully, making Dad laugh. Dad returned from Dodger Stadium, happily opening a beer. "I need to live long enough to see these kids bring home their brides and introduce them to me," he said, beginning to speak. Reflecting back to the funeral, he had solemnly said, "I'll be joining you soon." It felt like a complete turnaround from what he had said at Mom's coffin, but it's good to see him lively. The truth is, the kid's arrival had brightened him up considerably. After sister-in-law divorced Liam, he naturally got custody. So she no longer had to be involved in PTA duties. However, during the divorce proceedings, Liam explained everything to her parents. Outraged by her actions, they disowned her. Sister-in-law's parents said, "In exchange for disowning sister-in-law, please let us see the kids." It seems they asked for this occasionally. Liam takes the kids to visit their maternal grandparents. Sister-in-law's way of avoiding PTA duties was so extreme that the rumor spread among local moms, probably making her feel too uncomfortable. "It wasn't long before she moved away. In fact, I wonder if she even has the money to move," Liam remarked. "So the move probably left her in dire financial straits. I haven't heard of her finding a job since the divorce, so it seems unlikely she'd find one after moving." Knowing sister-in-law, too tiring, too smelly, she probably complains, being picky about her job choices. I think it might be good for her to be pushed to a point where she can't afford to be so choosy. A year later, wanting to keep fresh flowers for Mom, who loved them at the altar, I went to buy flowers every Sunday. "I don't want to let the altar go without flowers," Dad said, "so I've been buying flowers every Sunday." "It's been a year now," said the florist. "Yes, it has," I replied. "Do you miss your mom?" he asked. "Well, yes, but the caregiving, though tough, created good memories for our family, and I'm glad I could make those memories for Dad," I answered while paying. When I looked up, he handed me 2 bouquets. "Huh?" I said. "One is for you," he said, smiling. "How about making some memories with me?" he suggested, offering a small bouquet of gerberas. I hugged the bouquet